Hey everyone, thank you for joining us here at Reinforce 2023. My name is James Spencer. I am a partner solutions architect here at AWS, and I'm here joined today by Alex Torres and George Rolston. How you guys doing? Do you want to introduce yourselves real quick to everyone?
Sure. Doing great here. My name is George Rolston. I'm a senior solutions architect, a specialist working on the Cloud Foundations team.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Torres. I'm also a senior solutions architect working on the Cloud Foundations team. And thank you so much for having us, James.
Yeah, good to have you here. So you're going to show us a little bit about multi-account best practices, how they can help make mergers and acquisitions a little bit easier for everyone.
Yeah, that's what we're here for today.
Okay, cool. So what was the problem before, and how can multi-accounts and organizations solve this problem?
So moving accounts from moving workloads from one account to another can be a little tricky. So when we start seeing mergers and acquisitions happening and different AWS environments and different customers, they are a little bit inconsistent, right? And bringing them from one place to another can be a lot of work, and you're migrating your workloads. So using a multi-account strategy to organize your workloads can make it a lot easier when you need to move accounts from one place to another, because you're just moving that account all together with the workload inside instead of having to move the account from one account to another. So that's kind of like the issue we were seeing, and that's how the multi-account strategy can help make mergers and acquisitions a bit easier.
Okay, awesome. And part of the issue is consistency. Infrastructure as code is a great way to maintain consistency and iterate on infrastructure. Maybe you could highlight just real quick one of the benefits of using IAC in mergers and acquisitions across organizations.
Sure. So infrastructure as a code is a great way to, of course, define your environment. And as you know, environments change. As we're here discussing, that you may want to move from one organization, that environment, to another organization. As you look at your organization, you have provisioned things such as guardrails, controls, part of your maybe landing zone. And that infrastructure as code can help define that and deploy it out. So we're not looking at jumping into each account and treating it as kind of a unique piece there and saying, no, I'm just going to do this here. We're able to provision that account exactly what we want, use that infrastructure as code to do it. But then when we go and migrate that account out, we're able to clean it out by just removing that infrastructure as code for those guardrails for the organization, and then bring it to that new organization using infrastructure as code to provision those new guardrails. So we're not bringing things across from org to org on that aren't needed anymore. So that infrastructure as code really helps that migration, clean it up, and speed it up.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I see we have a screen share. Are we ready to show everyone what we got?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
So as I was mentioning earlier, right, moving accounts from one place, from one organization to another, whether it is because you are redoing your organization or you are moving to a reseller outside of a reseller, or you're just starting to follow best practices, right? Evaluating all your accounts and all the policies and all the dependencies within those accounts, ensuring that everything is consistent could be a little tricky if your accounts, or if you have many accounts, or your accounts are too large. So what we did, one of the things that our team does, we build AWS solutions that can help you automate this process. One of these solutions that we built is this account assessment for organizations that you can deploy across your organization or in just one account and scan all the policies, resource policies, organization features that are enabled in your organization, kind of giving you just one single pane of glass where you can actually find all the possible dependencies before you undergo a merger or an acquisition. So let me show you how this solution actually looks and how it works. The solution today supports three types of scans: a resource-based policy scan, a delegated admin, and a trusted access scan. Right. So let me start from bottom to top, like with the trusted access scans. Right. This is a feature of AWS organizations that allows the management account of your organization to manage the rest of the accounts and these services in behalf of your organization. So here we can see that we have several services that are enabled, like CloudTroll, GuardDuty, StackSets, Resource Access Manager, Security Hub, and single sign-on that now it's called IAM Identity Center, right? And these are the services that we have enabled in the organization. What can happen is when you move one of these accounts from one organization to another, this trust will be broken. So when you bring that account to your new organization, you will need to re-enable that trust, redeploy your roles, and make sure that all the things stays consistent. And that's where infrastructure as code can help you move things from one organization to another. Additionally, another feature that we have within organizations is delegated admin, which is the capacity of designate an account as the manager, or like the account that will be managing that service. So for example, here we enable this feature for Security Hub, Guard Duty, and IAM Identity Center. And what this does is it allows these accounts to manage these services for the entire organization. So within this page, you can actually see what are the accounts that you should look into when you are before you migrate this account, because you cannot take an account out of organization if they're a designated delegated administrator for any service. And the last resource, the last scan that we have is the resource-based policy scan. And what this does is this scans all the accounts in your organization and all the resource-based policies of the services that the solution supports to actually tell you if they have any dependency on your organization. And you'll see here which account it is, what service has this resource-based policy, the policy name, and what type of policy it is, what region is it on, and if there's any dependencies, right? Like right now here we have a dependency on the principal org ID, and this is our organization ID, and it was found at this job. These scans are really quick, so you can just run a scan by clicking here, and you can select the parameters. You can do either all the accounts, select a specific organizational unit within your account, or just given one specific account with the account ID. So in this case, we're just going to scan all the accounts in the organization. We're going to do USD is one because we're just going to scan for IAM policies. This is all the services that we support right now in the solution, and we're working to integrate more within the solution, right? But for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to show you how it finds identity policies, and then you just start the scan. And this is actually really quick. You'll just see that the scan starts in just a second, and here we'll have the resource-based policies that are being found. Within a few seconds, we'll probably see that we found that policy that was there, and that it's basically telling you. If there's any errors or something, you will see it here that it cannot access any of the other accounts because we haven't given permission to the solution to access that account. So you can limit the access and the scans per account and for the entire organization, and you can find those dependencies before you undergo a migration. Now, once you know all of these, when you find all the dependencies within your accounts and you mitigate that risk, you can start moving accounts from one organization to another. And that's what George is going to show us right now.
All right, thank you, Alex. So I just want to level set here on this. The actual process that it's gone through, like we're having a lot of risk we're mitigating, which is a good thing. We're going over the actual what we need to make sure that's ready to go, ready to be changed out, and to move this account. But it sounded like a lot of steps. I want to make sure that everything here is relative to where we're at, and say, hey, an account migration compared to a workload migration. And a workload migration is entailing like taking that app, rebuilding it in a new organization, and then cutting over that application to the new organization, copying that data. It's not, as we look at this, it's not necessarily the same when you're saying, okay, well, the account migration. I know we had a lot of steps there, but really, this is just, it's 10 times, 15 times faster. There's a lot of work to go in a workload migration versus an account migration. So let's real quick here on my screen, the actual process. We've done our assessment. We've gone through that. We've mitigated our risk. We've removed those organization integrated services or any dependencies we've had. In here, what we'll look at, and I'm just going to show you in a second, just the actual process to invite an account, how long that takes, and for what the account to accept the invitation. But I just wanted to go to top level overview of this account transfer process. So one here, we start out with our source organization. That source organization has the AWS account, the member account in there. And it's wanting to move out. Say, let's had our application here, and we had a great divestment or been acquired, and we're moving it over to our target organization there far to the right for that. So that account in there needs to first leave that organization. So you have to leave the organization, and to leave an organization, You have to do all the things that Alex was saying, delegate it. It can't be a delegated admin. It can't go and have other things that are still tying it to the organization. You additionally have to go in and verify the contact information. And then one of the big things is you have to set up billing, because once you set up a payment method in there for that, you can transfer that account out. And that's important, because if we look there from that transfer to step 2, we have right in there, that's called a standalone account. And that standalone account, once it leaves that AWS organization, all those integrated services, all that trust is broken. Now it's having to pay. It's not having the central payer from the source organization paying the bill anymore. It's now standalone. So if you think of it, it's just sitting there as a standalone account, not part of any organization for that. So our destination organization have to invite that organization over. So that invite happens and it moves over into number 4 there, the AWS account inside the target organization under the root OU. This all can happen. And once you have step 1 there, all set up to leave the organization, this can all happen in hours. So that doesn't take long to get done, and you can move as many accounts as you can. The max for is 20 accounts per day with the dependency of the quota for the actual organization. Your organization starts out with 10 accounts to have in it. So make sure before you go and move a bunch of accounts to increase that above 10 so that for the number of accounts you want to migrate over. So once that quota is lifted there, you can actually migrate these accounts pretty quickly into your new AWS organization. Now, just again, comparing this to the application migration, that seems relatively simple. We're talking like a day's worth of work versus a month's worth of work for this. Now, I just wanted to go over and really show you what it looks like to do the step in there for the invitation process, how hard it is. It's relatively simple. So right now I'm in the merger organization I've created, and that merger organization has bought out, let's say this, call it an account called Workload B from our divestment organization. So it's wanting to move it in to merge it in. So under here, we were going into the management account of that organization, and we just go to AWS organizations here, open that up. And you'll see under here, under the management account, again, we will need permission or privileges to actually do this to send this invitation. But all we're going to do is go into the invitation, and all you have to hit is invite an AWS account. So this can be sent to any AWS account out there. It doesn't matter if they're a part of an organization or not. This invitation will be sent. All we need is either the root user account email address or the account ID. And in there you type a little message, hey, this is so-and-so account. We are wanting to merge this over. We acquired this. And then hit create on the send invitation. That invitation will go out and you'll see it sit here for it. You'll see that we have the request date, expiration, open, and a nice feature now that we can actually go and cancel that invitation if we'd like. But that invitation has now been sent. So on the other side of there, we have our divestment, which they're going in and getting a email saying someone's just invited you to a new AWS organization. We've done our assessment, as Alex has gone over. We did our assessment. We've cleaned up everything. We've said all the things. We've gone through and we're getting ready to have this account leave the organization. So under the account, I said we're doing workload B. We'll go into there. And just as simple it is to accept this organization. So we're just going in or accept the invitation to the organization. We're going to go into organization or here inside the member account. So workload B, we're not in the management account, but we're in the member account. And you'll see under invitations that we have an invitation there. We can decline or accept. This account here I'm showing you is still part of the current AWS organization for divest. If I click accept, and so this is just a security feature we have in here. There's a lot of steps, as I said, we had to do to actually make an account leave. It had to become, quote, a standalone account for it. But if I click accept, it doesn't work for you on there. It'll say, hey, this is still a part of an AWS organization. We can't just transfer it out there. You have to go through that process. And there's reasons for that. One, having it in that position of actually getting it into a standalone account makes it so you've understood that the organization integrated service and mitigated those risks. You also have an ability to bring this over to that standalone account. So as a payer, it's being stood up. You do not want to see your account, someone just to come in and accept this and just disappear from you. So there are security features built into this. We also recommend that you create a service control policy for things of this nature, so that not any account can create or accept an invitation from somewhere. We have a process through our multi-account strategy white paper out there for managing multiple AWS accounts. A process for a transitional OU and a SCPs, those are service control policies that really stop these accounts from accepting invitation, just kind of running off from your organization. So we have that process document in there, and you can go in and set this organizational unit structure up in there, so that when your accounts are ready to leave, you move them over to that transitional OU. Then when they click accept invitation, they'll be ready to go. Well, after they leave the organization, they can click accept invitation from there for that. So a question you may have is really, how do I get to this point? Like, this seemed a lot easier than actually going in and doing a migration of an account. This seemed a lot faster than doing a migration of an application. Doing that migration application, it takes quite some time. We're moving things, cut over time, do that. The account migration, a couple buttons, a few things to fill out, and we've migrated it over. So in that, how do we get set up for there? As I mentioned, we do have a process. We do have a strategy for multi-accounts. It's our multi-account strategy. Looking into that, setting things up, taking your accounts and breaking them apart. So your applications, don't go in and put all your applications into one AWS account. Then you're stuck on a workload migration. And you can't just migrate that account over like I'm showing you here. It has to be something you have to go reprovision, move it across there. So make sure that you're breaking your workloads, your applications apart by account, so that when this ever comes to that time, you can be able to move easily without having to rebuild. Lastly here, like we said earlier, just leverage infrastructure as code for things like your guardrails for that, so that when you do move, you can just move the application with the account, and not the application plus your guardrails, your controls are going to the new organization. You can clean those up and move those nicely.
Awesome. Thank you for showing us that. That was great, just how quick and streamlined that whole process was. If there's any questions from the viewers, go ahead and just drop them in the chat, and we'll try and get them answered for you. Alex, George, was there any like case studies or references you'd like to just give a quick spotlight on?
Yeah, actually, there is a case study by Warner Brothers Discovery and how they actually leverage AWS organizations to make these mergers and acquisitions a lot faster, and how they actually use organizations to reduce the time to create accounts and just apply these controls across all their businesses. So it's a really good case study. We'll drop a link on the chat if anybody's interested in taking a look at it.
Yeah, yes, please do. I might want to take a look myself. Anyway, thank you, Alex and George. This was great. This is informative. I love how easy this was. And to everyone out there, thank you for joining us again here at Reinforce 2023, and we hope to see you again next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.